Welcome on Radio Metal, Dero.
Hello.
Oomph is very well known in France, but not so often heard on the radio. Could you introduce us the band?
Yeah, I'm the lead singer of Oomph, who was formed 1989 by Flux guitars, samples, crap guitars and keyboards, and me, Dero, voice, lyrics and drums, programmings and stuff. And yeah, we began very electronical orientated on our first record, same titled, Oomph, which was very much dominated by the so-called electronic body music which was going around back then. And we were really very much satisfied on the one hand also, and influenced by bands like Kraftwerk, Deutsch-Amerikanische Freundschaft, Liaison Dangereuse, Lassig Bandhaus, Einstürzende Neubauten, as I said, and The Cure, Depeche Mode, of course, also. And on the other hand, we really liked Motorhead and AC/DC and stuff like that. So we always wanted to combine both worlds, both sides that influenced us very much in our own youth. The cold electronical appeal of the 80s and the rough, dirty metal and hard rock appeal. And we said, when we form a band, let's combine both worlds. Of course, back then, both worlds were really departed from each other, you know. Everybody who was into guitar music hated anything about samples and keyboards, and vice versa. Electronical guys hated anything about guitars. So it was really stupid and embarrassing for us to see, because we really liked both sides. So as we formed Oomph, we said, let's try to cross over both worlds.
Okay. People often say that German bands are in the shadow of Rammstein. How do you feel about that?
Of course, Rammstein is the most successful band in this chapter of music. They are worldwide well known. So, but we were there 5 years earlier, so Rammstein always say in interviews that they were influenced by us, and without Oomph they wouldn't have been Rammstein. So, well, for us it's really an honor to be called a big influence on such bands as Rammstein. So, but of course it's also good to have bands like, for example, Rammstein, or don't laugh at me, Tokyo Hotel, who really force German language in other countries, you know. There's so many young people who are interested in German language right now because of those bands. So it opens doors for German music, that's it. Of course, I'm not so much into music of Tokyo Hotel, but I'm much too old for the music, so. But yeah, it's really good for us also to see that German music and German-speaking music is really accepted all over the world, and also in France. And for us as a band who kind of like formed this kind of music, among others, it's a real honor, and it's really good to see that our spark from back then has become a real huge fire who's spreading. And the fire is music, and the language is music, which understands everybody. And well, and I think we've got a complete different approach on music as bands like Rammstein, for example. So I really can understand why, for example, bands like Rammstein are so much successful and famous all over the world, because we really have to be honest, they broadcast and spread a picture of Germans that is really a cliche in those countries, you know. People want to see Germans as Rammstein tell we are. But as we all know, Germans are not like that. So for us, it's really important to be ourselves on stage and not caricatures or not trying. We're not trying to create artificial show or to inscenate something, you know. Like, for example, Siegfried and Roy in Las Vegas, you know, with many explosions and fire and yeah, so many things that turns the sides off the most important thing, music. You know, there's a lot of bands, you go to concerts of them and everybody is telling afterwards it was a huge, amazing show. But they don't speak about the music, you know, they just speak about the show. Yeah. So if you want to compare it with movies, for example, I don't like popcorn movies too much, you know, which are just about effects, special effects and yeah, huge scenarios and stuff like that. I'm more into small videos which are more about acting. You know what I mean? It's more important to be authentic on stage or concerning to movie. You have to be authentic on film, you know. And there's so many movies, take all the special effects away and nothing is left. Because no one in those, in many of those pictures can really act. There's no story behind it. So, yeah. With me, it's more about stories. It's important that you have to tell something. And we have to tell something. We, for example, we provoke very often. We like to provoke very much. But behind our provocation, there's always a background why we do that kind of provocation. Provocation for just its own case is really boring, I think. If you just provoked and nothing is behind it, it's boring. That's not Oomph.
Okay. What kind of relationship do you have with other German bands like Rammstein, Megahertz, Eisbrecher?
Yeah, of course we know all those bands. You meet each other at certain festivals from time to time, and you talk to each other, and yeah, it's a really small family, you know, of those kind of music in Germany. So we accept each other, you know. We don't fight with each other because there's nothing to fight with, and yeah, it's just about small talk, and yeah, for example, at some award shows we meet guys of Rammstein from time to time, you know, each year you can say, you know. So yeah, and then we talk, drink some beer with each other, and yeah, that's it, you know. It's not a big friendship because there's too less time to get friends, but we accept each other.
You were talking about popcorn movies. Since your single Gekreuzigt in 1998, your singles are regularly in the German charts, like Augen auf or Wach auf, which was used on the original soundtrack from Alien vs. Predator. So after 10 albums, 1 DVD and 20 years of duty, what is your look upon your career?
Well, it's about development. As we want to develop as human beings, we try to reflect those developments on our music, you know. As long as there is new dimensions for us to explore, anything goes, you know. It would be boring to repeat yourself, you know. So this is what we always denied. We wanted to always see if there's new dimensions, you know, if there's new doors to open for us musically. Of course, it's not the secure way, you know. The secure way would be to repeat yourself from album to album, because if you know that people like the kind of music that you do, Just repeat yourself, and they will like it more. But that's about lies, of course, also, because actually everybody develops in a certain direction. So, and if you don't reflect this development, you start to lie. But unfortunately, in many scenes, whether it is hardcore scene, metal scene, gothic scene, electronical scene, there's so many people who want to depart themselves from the so-called mainstream, from the so-called Philistines, by wearing other clothes, hearing different types of music, but they're acting so reactionary, so conservative concerning their own music style, because there's so many people who deny development within bands. And this is really an ancient way of thinking, you know, because anything in the whole universe develops. Anything. So why shouldn't a band develop? Just to show people that there's some kind of doubtful security? I mean, there's no security, you know, and you still stay honest when you develop, when you show other faces from time to time, when you reflect all your different shapes of emotions. So many bands who just have one or two emotions, you know, aggression and, I don't know, aggression and anger, for example, and hate. But who is only like that? It must be a really, really one-dimensional, flat and stupid person who's just like that. You know, as we all know, complex persons are much more dimensional. You know, we also are sad from time to time. We also are sad from time to time, and we're also powerless and melancholical, happy and disappointed, whatever. Human beings are more complex in my way of thinking, so if you want to stay honest, you have to show each kind of your personality. If you're not, you start to lie with your music, and then this is what we don't want to, you know. We're here to live from this really cool hobby, you know, and why should we start to lie? I could start to lie if I start to work at a huge bank or whatever. Then I would start to lie because this is not me. So when I would do the same within my music, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. There's so many people who lie in their normal jobs, and I fucking hate musicians who start to lie within their bands, you know, because it's the same.
Okay. About your writings, love and religion are recurrent themes in your texts. Why is it so important for you?
I think these are the three main foundations of human being, of human life, you know. Where do I come from? Where do I go? And what do I do in the middle of that time, you know, that period of time? So, but I like more the philosophical approach of it, you know. I'm not anti-faith, because you have to believe in something, at least in yourself. If I would not believe in myself, I could quit being a musician, you know. So, yeah, faith is important, of course, and but we're, of course, very religious, critical persons, and for us, the question is much more important than the answer. And in many, or nearly most of the religions, the question mark is not that much important, you know. They're just trying to tell you that they got the truth, that they got the answers to all the questions, to all the problems. But who will ever know? I don't know. For me, the question mark is much more important. So I would consider myself an agnostic person. I don't know what life wants from me. I just know that I'm here to reproduce myself, you know, as any animals do.
That's a good hobby.
Yeah, that's it. But all the other things that we put into our being, into our lives, are wishful thinking, you know, and yeah, this is where religion starts, you know. If you stop seeing yourself as a part of evolution, you know. For me, human beings or mankind in itself is it's just one small part of evolution, you know. And no one knows if we remain that important that we think that we are. So I don't know. Dinosaurs used to live for millions, hundreds of millions of years, and human beings are living just for a really small period of time right now. So I don't think that we will be so important for evolution as we think that we are. So yeah, we're just one small part, one small thing within the whole life, within the whole universe. So yeah, that's it. But it's really good approach. It's not frightening for me, you know. I feel myself really comfortable being not that important, you know. Why should I be more important than a snake or a snail or a rabbit? Why? I don't know. There's no reason. It's just human thinking that we think we are the best, we are the most important beings.
Okay. You always written in German and English, but not since Glaube, Liebe, Tod. Is it a choice or fate?
I think it was more accidentally, you know. It just happened that way. I felt more secure in my own mother tongue, and I just wrote more in my own native language. So maybe I can be more intense in that language that I lived through, you know, that I made my experiences, most of my experiences in my own language. So maybe this is the reason why you're much more emotional in your own language. So, but English language is not excluded, you know. It's just that we wanted to I don't know, we don't want it to force it unnaturally, you know. So it has to happen in a really natural way. So but we plan to do a best of in English. So let's see what will happen. I still like the English language very much because it's really different from German language. German language is really rough and strange sounding, and the English language is a really musical language, you know. It's a really well sounding language. So yeah, we try or we plan to release a best of album with English lyrics and English vocals. So let's see.
Okay. You want to do other duets like you did with Nina Hagen on Fever?
Yeah, we did one again on this album also with Bis zum Schluss with Mina Hagen, with Mina Hake, a new band from Braunschweig, and of course we did the the duet with Marta Jandova on Glaube liebe tot, träumst du. So yeah, if you know that there's a fitting duet partner, why not, you know? And if there's a fitting song, then we will. But as it is with the English language, we don't want to force it, you know. It has to happen.
Okay. Let's talk about Monster. You've asked your fans to create a cover for this album.
Yeah, I think for the 10th album, this is our 10th album, it would be a good idea to have something creative coming from the fans, you know, and we know that our fans are really, really innovative and weird. So
Pervert.
yeah, maybe some of them. So the title Monster was perfect to do it, I think. And we had 800 cover versions of fans, you know. It was amazing for us to see that there are so many creative fans among Oomph fans. So, but we did really hard, you know. It was really hard, really hard for us to choose one cover, because we wanted to have a more subtle approach on the theme Monster, you know. If you title your album Monster and then you put a cover to it which shows a typical monster, it would be boring. So yeah. And after all, we had this cool cover which puts more questions, you know. People look at this cover and ask themselves, why should the boy be a monster? Or is the boy a monster? Or has he already killed a monster? Or what is the secret behind this scene, you know, with the landscape, the tool, and the boy, you know. So yeah, I think it's that what makes Oomph actually, that you have to think about the reasons, that there's more dimensions behind one title, and there's many interpretations on one title and the lyrics, for example. This is what makes it interesting, I think. And of course, many of our albums deal with, for example, childhood, because childhood is really important. You know, it's the most important period of time, period of life, the first 10 years of your life, that makes you, that forms you to that person that you are as an adult person also, you know. So anything that happens in your childhood is so important, you know, and we just cannot deny it, you know. Even though there's many adult persons who want to forget about their childhood, but it's not possible, you know. It's really the most important period of life, and it always will remain. So this is why it comes back from time to time with Oomph, you know, childhood. Yeah, all the monsters within yourself are formed in your childhood, mainly.
Yeah, that's a good image. It's time for our last question. What about France? Will you come here in 2009 to defend your album?
Hopefully. We had a really cool club tour 2 years ago through France, and we had, of course, I think about 10 shows after the last 10 years, during the last 10 years in Paris, for example. And we had a cool couple of festivals in France also, so we like the audience there very much, and we like the country, we like the scene. people are really nice in France, and we hope to come back really very soon as possible, because we always liked it there very much. And yeah, hopefully we're gonna talk to our promoter, and of course they have to connect some other people in France, but hopefully we will come back on a club tour. That would be cool.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dero,
You're welcome.
and see you soon.
See ya.